Are the Arizona Coyotes' days numbered in the desert? Is this coming to a head, and will we know soon enough that the Coyotes are possibly relocating? We should have an announcement as early as next week. We're going to discuss the future of the Coyotes and what might happen coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some pretty significant updates here tonight from Elliotte Friedman and a few of the reporters regarding the future of the Arizona Coyotes, and it does look like things are trending in a direction that might not be favorable to the Coyotes staying. Now, of course, just a quick background here. Of course, many have been following this story for a long time. We know that the Arizona Coyotes and owner Alex Muriel had departed their former arena, Gila River Arena. I know there was a time near the end of their tenure there when they were essentially almost locked out of the arena, had to pay a bunch of overdue bills. I know keep seeing reports, and I know Frank Saravalli's brought it up as well, that played a big role in their departure from there. I know there are some like Craig Morgan, who covers the Coyotes, probably more plugged in and closer than just about anybody, who disputes that fact. Fact is, though, is that they did depart there, and it didn't seem to be on great terms. Now, there are some that say that the arena situation in there was not working, and that the arena wanted to lock him into a long-term lease, and they didn't want to, and it was really more of a negotiation that went sour, more than it was about them at some point being behind on payment. So, regardless of the fact, they ended up getting a deal with Arizona State University, where they play now at Mullett Arena, which is essentially just shy of a 5,000 seat capacity, which for an NHL-sized arena is less than, it's substantially less than what you should expect. Like, even with some of the smaller arenas, get around 16,000 fans, some of them upwards of 19 to 20,000, right? So, I mean, that's really small. So they're, it's a gate-driven league, and it's not generating, to the point that it should be. Although they are doing well with what they're able to sell, it's just, at the end of the day, it's not an NHL appropriate arena. It was only ever meant to be a short-term solution. The Arizona Coyotes have been trying to find a new permanent home for an extended period of time. Of course, they thought they had everything all lined up and, not too far from where they are at Mullett Arena in Tempe. And, of course, that went to a public vote and a referendum, and it failed. And then ever since then, they've been looking for plans A, B, and C, and nothing has materialized. Now, we had seen and heard in the last couple of weeks that we even heard Bettman talk about this at the All-Star game when he did his remarks on several topics on the Friday, and Bettman did say that at this point, he was still reasonably confident because Alex Muriel, the owner of the Coyotes, told him he was going to figure out a way to make it work. But at the same time, we also heard NHLPA Executive Director Marty Walsh say a lot of things that completely opposite, that were very negative about the future of Arizona, saying they've missed multiple deadlines, that it's an embarrassment to the league for them to play in such a small arena, that it's not right for the players. Obviously, to get... When you're talking about, what to expect when you're going on the road in an arena, it's just the frustration by other teams because, of course, it's a revenue sharing in the NHL. You get your haves and your have-nots, and they've been a have-not for many, many years there. So clearly the frustration from the NHLPA was mounting and very, very high. And, you got to know and you got to realize that with Bettman and Walsh, and that was also part of that meeting was the IIHF leader as well, that Bettman knew what Walsh was going to say. Many view that as an opportunity for them to put more public pressure on the Coyotes to get things done. But the more recent reports here that have even surfaced in the past couple of days since the All-Star game and those remarks by Gary Bettman, essentially we've learned a little bit more. I know Frank Saravalli and Elliotte Friedman have both had substantial, extensive reports on this, and they both seem convinced that we may be nearing the end of the road here, and we could have an announcement on the Coyotes' future as early next week. It's believed that the NHL wants to wait until after the Super Bowl. Plus, there's probably still some things being worked on behind the scenes here. But essentially, as of right now, I'm recording this video on Wednesday night. It's probably going to be Thursday morning before it hits YouTube. But the Coyotes maintain that they're still looking at several arena options as of right now. I know Elliotte Friedman put out a 32 Thoughts written blog tonight, and he still reiterates that from some recent comments. So the Coyotes still, on the Arizona Coyotes Twitter page, they're putting posts out tonight again saying they're dedicated to staying in the state of Arizona, winning the Stanley Cup eventually, bringing it to the desert, all that kind of stuff, which is really what you'd expect them to say, all the right things. But at the end of the day, at this point, they confirmed as well, the Coyotes had recently, that they applied to buy state trust land in northern Phoenix, and many thought this was like their last shot in figuring out a new arena. The problem is how this works. Now, because they're trying to figure out how can we get into a new land deal where they can build an arena without having to go through a new referendum, because clearly that last referendum in Tempe completely screwed things from working out. They did have pretty good plans in place, but the people there didn't want it, so it got rejected. So they really don't want anything with their future plans to go to a public vote. So this plan here is still not foolproof. So essentially how this works is, because of the way things work there with the land, so that state trust land in northern Phoenix, it appears that what can happen here is to go to an open auction, and then they would hope to have the high bid. So it's still not a guarantee that they can't just walk in and buy the land. So essentially this is run by the Arizona State Land Department. They control it through their board, and the board is meeting tomorrow. They meet monthly, and tomorrow is their monthly meeting. The agenda is posted online. Friedman himself have talked to the clerk who prepares that, confirms it's a final agenda and that there's nothing being added to it. And there is no mention of the Coyotes being on the agenda. So guys like Sarah Valley and Friedman are looking at this saying, okay, well, they were saying that this was a big part of their plan. And they applied to be a part of the auction for this land. And they're not even on the agenda. So maybe just because they applied, it doesn't mean they're going to be accepted to be a bidder. So like that, you have to do it. It's complicated, but you have to be approved just to get into the bidding process. Then you got to win the bid. It's believed there's different opinions out there on when the bid would take place. Some were saying, late April. Some were saying like maybe not till the summer in July. So either way, like it could possibly be several months before a bid even happens. And then they got to win that bid. So again, that's a whole bunch more period of time that's uncertain before they could even know. And it sounds like the reports we're getting from Friedman, Sarah Valley, and others, and Andy Strickland too has been all over this, that the NHL is running out of patience here. And their NHL board of directors is running out of patience with this ownership group and getting it together. If they're going to relocate this team, if they need to do that for next year, they need time to do it. As I mentioned before, when the Atlanta Thrashers team moved back to go, when the Jets got their team back in Winnipeg, it wasn't announced until May. But from what I've heard, that was quite pushing it in a struggle. Like it almost, really needed to happen sooner. The NHL doesn't want to go through that again. It's been a long time. So essentially, it just doesn't look good. So this was the main part of the plan that was believed to be in place. And now they're not even on the agenda as being a bidder. So it goes to show that maybe this is not even part of it anymore. So the Coyotes are are generating a lot of buzz around the league right now in their future. The NHLPA, when Marty Walsh was speaking at the event, the All-Star game, like I said, he made mention they've already missed 2 deadlines. Even though these deadlines don't appear to be hard and fast deadlines, it's been extended multiple times. The NHL wanted an answer out of them a couple months ago, and they didn't get it. Then they wanted one by the All-Star break. They didn't get it. Here we are afterwards, and the NHL is reportedly putting pressure on the Coyotes organization pretty much on a daily basis, looking for answers here, and they don't seem to have those answers. That's why a lot of people think that an announcement is going to be coming soon in the coming days about the future, and it might not bode well for the Coyotes remaining in the state of Arizona. Now, of course, Gary Bettman has chosen his words extremely carefully, in the public eye at least, when talking about this. Essentially what Elliotte Friedman made mention, and which made a lot of sense, is that Bettman, of course, we know is a trained lawyer, and a pretty good one at that. You can say what you want about the man and whether or not you like him and what he's done for the NHL, but he's a very calculated lawyer. There's no doubt about that. Chooses his words very, very carefully, and he probably understands that there's a possibility that this could end in a legal battle, and it's not something he's going to want to happen, but this could go a couple of different ways. The Coyotes' current owner could be like, okay, we're getting too much pressure here. We don't have this figured out yet. Maybe we sell the team. Okay, if they sell the team, there's two potential outcomes. There's another group that wants to keep them in Arizona and can produce plans extremely quick for the arena, or they sell the team and they relocate. So we know that the group in Salt Lake City in Utah, they're extremely all over, like they won a team yesterday. And it would work extremely well for relocation because the arena could be ready for next year. So like there's no doubt about that. They'd have a place to play. They could stay in the Central Division, stay in the Western Conference. It probably would be a pretty easy transition from all those aspects. So essentially here, we don't know what's going to happen, but the Coyotes could, on their own, sell the team. It does sound, though, like the odds of finding another ownership group who could quickly produce an arena plan for the NHL, I don't think that's possible. Now, the Phoenix Suns owner is somebody who might be able to do that, but the last we had heard, they don't have any interest in buying the Coyotes. If that remains true, then I don't think that's going to happen. Now, another thing that could happen is the NHL could buy the franchise back themselves. They could even kind of force the franchise away from them. That's not likely to happen. I wouldn't think that'd be like the nuclear options, what they'd say. So essentially, what I know Andy Strickland put this out earlier, it's believed that the most likely outcome right now is that this ownership group in Arizona sells the team to the NHL. They buy the team back, and then they turn around and find the new home and sell it, which is most likely going to be the Ryan Smith Group in Salt Lake City. So it just seems like time is running out, patience are running out, and it seems like this is really getting close to coming to an end. Now, we can't say with absolute certainty that that's how things are going to go. Like I said, we've had numerous times in the past, even year, where we thought something was coming to a head, and then it didn't. And deadlines keep getting extended. We know Bettman has pushed really hard and tried to create every chance for the Coyotes to make it and stay in the state of Arizona. Obviously, it's kind of like his legacy piece, if you will. And many do believe that if the Coyotes do go, that they will definitely get a team back via expansion sometime in the next, 5 to 10 years. Because it's believed that there's lots of expansion talk right now. And they're definitely, I have no doubt they will expand. And I can see them expanding. Well, we're in 2024. I'd say in the next 6-7 years that they're going to hit 36 teams. Now, they may not all be in play, but definitely in the next 5 to 6 years, I'm going to say my prediction is that they're going to grant 4 expansion clubs, probably 2 in the East, 2 in the West, and they will all, at the very least, have their teams. I don't know if they'll all be playing by 2030, but somewhere around there. We know that the Atlanta situation is moving full steam ahead. I think they're going to go back there. We know that Salt Lake City, Utah, they want a team at all costs. I think it sounds like there's some that believe they're willing to pay a little bit more than what they're valued at, the Coyotes are. And plus, they have to pay a relocation fee if they do business directly with the current ownership group. So it might be worth it to Muriel to cut his losses, get his money back, so to speak, and move on. We'll see. I mean, obviously the team is having a better year on the ice, and they're, not out of it for playoffs. So I'm sure this is going to be a bit of a distraction, wondering what the future holds there. And a lot of these people that are in the higher ups wondering what the future holds for their jobs. If a new owner comes in, are they going to just leave everything the same? They're going to clean house, bring in all their own people? Like, we don't know, right? Because that's a lot of uncertainty, for to say the least. But, essentially, it just doesn't sound promising. Elliotte Friedman's comments exactly was that he feels like this ownership group in Arizona might be coming to an end soon. I mean, but he also keeps reminding us that it's really hard to say 100% because everything keeps getting extended and deadlines pushed, etc. But and don't want to come on here and say be all doom and gloom that the Coyotes are done in Arizona. It just doesn't look good right now. I think it just sounds like they're out of options, and it wouldn't be shocking if early as next week we get news that the team is being sold and being relocated for next season. Like I said, and that sale could either come directly from the current ownership group to like the Ryan Smith group in Utah, and then they pay a relocation fee on top of that. By the time you add in the fee for the team being sold and then the relocation fee, that's a good chunk of money, but it sounds like they're willing to pay it. Or does the Coyotes have the franchise go back to the league? I don't know. I think they'd make out better financially dealing with another ownership group themselves, but we'll have to wait and see. But is this the end of the road for the Coyotes? Certainly looks like it could be, but we don't have that absolutely, concrete for sure just yet. But let me know your thoughts if there's any options left that can possibly work to keep them there, because it just sounds like the NHL needs answers. They can't get them, and there's just too much pressure right now for the questions to get answered. And like I said, it's just not happening. So will we see a team in Utah and Salt Lake City next year? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, of course, make sure you subscribe and stick around so you don't miss any other updates around all this, as well as all the other news and rumors from around the league. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.